Trips doing the entire length or the upper half of the Grand Canyon usually stop at the Little Colorado River, where warm spring water flows out of the sacred Sipapu Springs, 12 miles up this spectacular side canyon. There's lots to do at the Little Colorado River, and everyone loves to swim and play in the warm turquoise waters, becoming children again in paradise. The Little Colorado River flows a Caribbean blue color when local rains or snowmelt are absent, but during the July to mid-September monsoon season, it can be obscured by the muddy runoff. But often trips still like to frolic in the muddy water, or just get goofy. Here one can have a mud pack treatment at no extra charge. People on some trips find novel ways to get in the water, and others may have the opportunity to get in a little airtime. You might be limited to a certain amount of beer, and you may wonder who drank your Guinness. You may be one of those adventurous types who gets to paddle raft through some of the biggest rapids in the world, maybe without a guide even. However, only a few companies offer paddle rafts, and even fewer the do-it-yourself inflatable kayak, otherwise known as a ducky. In rare instances, you could be on a raft that does not keep the rubber side down. But don't worry, your life jacket is on nice and tight and you will float on downstream to the end of the rapid. At camp there are often games. Horseshoes is one of the more common. But sometimes the entertainment can take on a more glamorous form. You might find yourself hanging out with new friends in unusual nooks and crannies, or hopeful that your muscles have gotten bigger on the trip, and even compare biceps with each other. Apparently, this is something the ancient ones did as well. On some hikes, you may find yourself in unusual positions and take heroic efforts to stay dry, although you can always just walk in the water. There are some places where you might even use a rope to get to where you are going. You may hike up to high points with incredible views, or visit several Indian ruins and sites where you may see pictographs or petroglyphs made by the early inhabitants of the canyon. There are some hikes where you will definitely get wet and maybe even want to hold hands. You could have the opportunity to become a junior ranger, and on some trips you might even take a ride by helicopter out or into the canyon. You might get friendly with some of the locals, but hopefully not too friendly with all of them. If you are really lucky, you will get to experience a thunderstorm, which can cause hundreds of muddy waterfalls to pour into the canyon, and see amazing flash floods. Before the Glen Canyon Dam was built upstream, brown was the usual color of the river. You might have to set up a tent, but most of the time people prefer to sleep out under the stars and enjoy a night sky like nowhere else in the world. Sometimes people's favorite camps are on rocky ledges, and in early spring and late fall, campfires are allowed. This is where your Little River tribe will often gather. Some trips bring along musical instruments, and you can often bring your own. The acoustics are great in many side canyons. You might take a turn at the oars and then discover you want to do more. The canyon is a great place to take up painting or to start a journal. And the fishing is often excellent in the first 60 miles and at some side streams. You might check out maps of the area and even learn something. Sometimes there's the opportunity to buy a lemonade from one of the folks that live at Phantom Ranch at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. You might become proficient at duct tape repair, or even find yourself helping with a much bigger project like a ripped raft. You might try log rolling on a rubber tube, or take photos where you never thought you would, and find novel ways to stay cool. You might even find yourself napping in the middle of the river. Or find creative ways to goof off with new friends. And if you are really lucky, you might even take in a game of sumo river wrestling for an experience you will never forget.